things have gotten?
How busy things have gotten. That would be a good topic for today. Yeah, I think I mentioned that in the newsletter. Is like, yeah, I tend to put things off sometimes, but also because of the time of year it is, the October, November tends to be a little bit more busy for us because I in particular, as a business person, like to get my budgets done in October. I like to have my client budgets done. Anything kind of strategic wise for 2022, I am in process of creating right now. And so a lot of people get busy at the end of the year because they're doing all this and trying to get all the projects done at the same time. I try to make it so that December is similar to my Fridays. December is an optional month, and just like a Friday is an optional day. I still do things on Friday, but nothing is really planned for like a Friday afternoon. And that way, if crap hits the fan, I have Friday. It's always there.
Yep.
So same thing with December, like something, when I get to December, there's so many crazy things going on that with holidays. I mean, between Thanksgiving and Christmas in the United States, December is just shot. I mean, people are out. You can barely get a hold of somebody for a meeting. So I learned, probably a decade ago, that having your strategy sessions in October, November, if you aren't done by Thanksgiving, you're in for a rough month.
Yep, that's it.
A very frustrating month. So the trick is with now that we're in Q4, we're in the what I call the strategy quarter. So if you follow along with HIT roadmap, we should probably publish this on one of our web pages. But HIT roadmap in Q4 is all focused on strategy delivery, because by now, first quarter you did architecture, second quarter you did service, third quarter you focused on risk, and now you're in fourth quarter. You have a good picture of where your clients are and where you want them to be. So in fourth quarter, you're able to say, hey, where are we going? And the problem with a lot of people is, and I get this feedback all the time, is your clients don't want to be in these meetings.
Yeah. Yep.
Getting them to actually come to a meeting is a pain. And so that's because in the past, your meetings were boring.
That's it.
It's like right now, like today, I spent probably 4 hours today collecting receipts, going to different pieces of software, trying to figure out where we're spending things, where this expense came from, because I don't do it over the past 4 months. I like to save it all for one day and get myself a bunch of Diet Coke, and I just power through. I'll throw some cheesy movie on in the background just for some background noise, and I will start powering through the most boring activity I have. And that is collecting receipts and assigning them to expenses. So your clients see you like this. Like, they know that they come and they attend this meeting, they're going to talk about a bunch of stuff that they actually don't care about. Tickets,
Yep.
they were saddled with talking to the IT guy, making sure things are going well. And the most interesting meetings you have are the ones where maybe you drop the ball on something and the client's going to yell at you or like that.
Yeah.
I haven't had a meeting like that in 10 years, probably since I started doing my strategy in October. About the same amount of time. And that's because the meetings that I tend to run always are focused on actionable items. They're focused on guidance and big pictures. And when you do that, people want to come to those meetings.
Well, and here's a pothole that I fell into many years ago. So being the technology guy and, the older technology guy for a while now, I've learned to approach our technology challenges from a variety of different angles. And one of the skill sets that I just kind of picked up along the way was being able to communicate technology in more understandable terms to members of management and items. So I've got pulled into a lot of those meetings. But what I realized a while ago was that while I could effectively communicate, what a firewall does, or, how a wireless LAN controller works, and, all these different things that I understood well on the technical level, and I could bring this understanding to the client level, there's really no need for that. I mean, the clients need to understand what it does, what the outcome of that is, but they really don't need to understand, even in simple terms, many times, how it works. And so what we do as IT people is we spend a lot of time educating our clients about how we do our job. All right. And what we need to do is we need to have our clients educate us about how they're doing their job.
Yes.
So we've really got it backwards many times. And so that's what's really important. If you will shift specifically your strategic meetings, and again, there's a time and place for technical conversations, but your strategic meetings, if you're focused on understanding how your client makes money, what their risks and challenges and opportunities are, if you're understanding that better, you're having a productive meeting.
Yeah, and your sales will go up.
Absolutely.
A whole bunch of things happen. That's why throughout the year, we season this in. Skip and I, this is not the first time we've talked to the group about this, but we repeat and we discuss this because it is so important. The quality of your conversations is important. And with myself, like, I don't want to be me. I like my accountants. I love meeting with them because they're fun people, but I really hate dealing with my quarterlies. It's always like, oh, but I love dealing with it. Like when I talk about strategy, like where are we going? How are we going to invest? How are we going to move forward? And projects like strategic decisions, those are great. And so there's some really great litmus tests that we've talked about in the past. And if you know what these are, you feel free to put them in the chat before I say them. How do you know your conversations are going south, that you are having the wrong conversation? One, if you are talking about tickets in a strategy session, you are failing. Two, if you mention the word firewall, you are failing. Three, if you start talking about warranty support, you're failing. Now, these are all important operational items, just as my taxes are important to me as a business. My receipts and my expense reports are important to me. But from a strategic standpoint, I don't care, which is why I don't do them all the time. They bug me. If I could pay somebody to sit here and collect my receipts for me, I would, but it's something I have to do. I'm the one eating lunch and I'm the one who has to take a picture of the receipt and send it in. And so these are things that I have to do. I know I have to do them, but they're not strategic. Strategic for me is, what am I going to do with what I've been given, with my resources? You need to talk to your clients about not firewalls, but you need to talk to them about what are they planning to do in their business in the next quarter, so that in your head, you can be thinking, ooh, do I need to upgrade them? Do I need to create a project around increasing their capacity? Because they don't need to know the operational items. They just need to know if you're going to increase, like my famous example, dog kennels adding webcams, so you can watch little foo-foo from your desk at work. Okay, in your head, you're thinking, I need to increase their capacity. Like, hey, if you're going to put webcams so that you can get those high-end clients, then what we need to do is I need to go back to my engineers and figure out what that's going to look like, because you can't do it with your current resources, or at least I need to check and see if you can do it with your current resources. That's a strategic item, because then you can come back to them and say, it's going to cost $12,000 to put the stuff in place that you need in order to get little foo-foo on a webcam in full high def glory with audio, two-way audio. So, lady at work, Karen at work, can talk to her little doggy while she's working. So, but that's going to give them a competitive edge. Those are strategic items. Now your clients want to be in the session because they get to decide something, and that's that perceived value. Yep. And it's more than just showing that your IT guys worth something, but this meeting needs to be valuable. There needs to be an outcome from it. So when you do a strategic QBR, especially this fourth quarter one, and we're going to talk a little bit more on how to do annuals, because we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. We're going to talk about how to sell without selling. And we're going to talk about how to take this and make your clients want to be there, so that your sales will increase and your perceived value will increase. And it's all about stopping talking about tickets, stop talking about technical items, and start talking about how you're going to help their company grow. And it may not be something intuitive for your engineers to know, or maybe not something intuitive for you, but just put yourself in their shoes. What do you need to talk about to help their company grow? And that's the extra step. It may not sound like much, but this is why you see my case studies that I published out on our website, where I'm able to take clients from spending $1,500 a month to spending $9,000 a month. And it's all around context, simple conversation changes. I'm not pitching anything different. I'm not selling them on technology. I'm selling them on an idea.
And that change from 1,500 to 9,000 doesn't mean the client just goes, oh, they convinced us we had to spend more money. No, they made that change because now we can do more. And so the client is able to focus on what they're doing, and what they're spending becomes somewhat secondary. I mean, obviously it's going to, tie the two together, but at some point, if you provide enough value, there's really not much question about the price. All right, because if they see the real value in there, that's going to be the focus of the conversation. So that selling without selling is a strong point, because clients, if they're getting what they need,
let's face it, as engineers, we are not good at selling.
Oh yes,
it's not our
awful.
bag. I know.
Awful.
No, maybe I don't know any engineers who love to walk in and do a sales pitch.
I know a few.
Oh,
yeah,
not me.
Yeah.
And anytime you go see, if you were one of the people unfortunate enough to have Adam do your sales pitch, like I always open up with, I am not a salesperson.
Yeah.
I am an engineer. I am. They're not turning screws anymore if they like that. The smell of a new server you crack open. Oh, it's glorious. But yeah, the idea to be able to walk into a session and be genuine, and you don't need to nerd out about them about technology. You just need to say, hey, this client, this school, this marketing company, this doctor's office, think just for a second, what do they care about? In your strategic QBRs, you need to lead with that. And so to that point, like, I know it's gonna be blurry, but I'm just gonna do this real quick.
No.
I always have this populated. What do they care about? What industry are they in? Like if I walk into Joe's truck as a transportation company, yes, I know it's blurry, people. That's Zoom's fault, not mine. I walk into Joe's truck. I have never worked for a trucking company. I have a hard time being relational with them, but blank walking into that company, at least I know Joe's Trucking. Like, hey, are you guys like seeing more shipping happening? How's business going? And I open up that segue, that little 5-minute segue in the beginning of the conversation. How's it going? How are we doing for your company? Like, oh man, it's been crazy. We're just having a hard time getting drivers because unemployment's so low. And we'd really like to try to figure out how we're going to solve that. Oh, tell me a little bit more. Is there anything we can do like to help make things more efficient? How are we doing for timekeeping or mileage tracking? Is there anything that's really like manual that we can I could look into for you?
Yep.
Huh. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess right now we're doing mileage reports by Excel. The truckers come in after they're done and they enter it into Excel and then they submit it. Like, oh, did you know there's some great automation systems out there? You want me to look into it for you? Oh man, that would be a lifesaver. Or maybe they have an existing method in some software and it kind of sucks. Okay, let's make you an employer of choice. Let's work this out. And so those are things like as an engineer, you can solve in a strategic QBR. So when I throw up my little dashboard here, now I'm talking about immediately the first thing I'm thinking about when I walk into them is what industry are they in and how do I need to contextualize these conversations? And as an engineer, you're smart. You know this. You talk to them about the area they're in. Don't treat them like a generic customer. If you mention the word firewall, you're treating them like a generic customer. If you mention the word tickets, you're treating them like a generic customer. That's something everybody deals with, but mostly your team deals with. So it's easy to talk about these things and you're not going to sell them. Just like when my accountant talks to me about like the different reports and the different forms that to fill out, and they tell me all the time, like, oh, you need to fill out this form. Like, I'm like, what's that? And they're like, oh, it's a blah 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 blah. And to them, it's really easy. It's something they deal with all the time. They know the different kinds of reports there are. And I'm just like, can you just send me the PDF and I'll read through it? Like, oh, okay. And to them, it's boring. Or to them, it's like, everybody should just know this stuff. Same thing with your clients. You don't make assumptions. Don't sit there and explain your job to them. Do what Skip said. Learn about their job. Learn about what they're trying to push this year. Learn about their problems, and then let your engineering brain work in that context. And then you can come back and say, just like with our dashboard, you can easily say, you know what? It looks like, you guys are struggling with personnel. I heard you say you're having a hard time hiring truckers. What we can do to help you a little bit is maybe alleviate a little stress on your administrative department by adding some more service in. Like, how about we go ahead and get our help desk upgraded to 24/7 so that you're not spending so much time troubleshooting issues on site. Like, I can add that context in there on how to help them. And that's super important. And I rarely hear of an MSP having this conversation. What happened to me in my first year in business as a VCIO was I kept getting asked why. I mean, it was like this. It was this weird, like, that's not how I thought the conversation would go. And then they would refer me to another school and say, you need to talk to this guy. He turned us around. And then they would send me to another school. Hey, you need to talk to this guy. He turned us around. Well, isn't he an IT guy? Well, kind of, yeah.
Well, and that's an important aspect too. I mean, we're always looking for referrals, but retention is big on our radar as well. And if your clients feel like that you understand their business, if you understand what's important to them and they feel like you're working towards that, price really does begin to decrease in importance. And that's when you have the opportunity to increase your margins without increasing any services and a significant cost increase for you. So you actually get to make more money with the same customers delivering the same services, but because they understand you, they're connected and their relationship, they're willing to pay a premium for what they get. And I really do understand the premium service. I've been in that business and worked and delivered very premium services, and we charge very premium prices for it as well. And so, there is good margin in that, and it gets you out of the rat race of chasing, that bottom dollar, shaving pennies here and there. That's not good for any of us.
It's amazing what happens when you move from an operational mindset to a strategic mindset. I don't know, raise your hand if you're a poker player at all. I don't beat people in poker when we have like a random poker night. Like, I love board games. It's no secret Adam loves board games. I really love strategic board games. And why I bring this up right now is if you play poker, I don't beat you at poker. I go to like my pastor's house and have a poker night, or I'll go to a friend's house and they'll have a poker night. And so I'm not going to keep up with Bob, it looks like.
Yeah.
I don't beat you because I understand the technical mechanics of the cards and the odds. I kind of understand them. What I beat you by is that I look at who I'm playing and I figure out ways to get the table to work against itself in my favor. That's because I'm thinking strategically. I see the one guy over there, he's 3 beers in. I see the guy over there, he's got a bit of an ego and he keeps getting pot heavy. He's trying to win his money back. And so maybe I just feed the pot a little bit and let them fight over it. I just fold and I back off and let them drain themselves. And that's how I play poker. And that's strategic. When you're in a meeting with a group of people, look at the room. What do they care about? Who's the person that is having to deal with the fallout of the tickets when they go overdue, when they miss the SLA? That's the person you need to be talking to about service, the service pillar. You need to be hitting them up saying, I can make your life easier. Who is it that's spending most of their time on their PC and it's always slow? Well, that's the person to be selling on the architecture projects. look at the table there and have them working out these problems, having them explain the problems to you, not from a technical standpoint, from a business standpoint, so that you, as the player at the table, can kind of get them to work together, get the table to work around each other, get the business to work around this, so that you're thinking at a different level. Now, most other MSPs are going to be sitting there at the poker table, to continue my analogy, and they're going to be playing the cards. And you're sitting at the poker table saying, how can I help this business succeed? You're in a different game.
That's right.
You're at a different level. And you are a great MSP. You have the great operational people. You understand the cards, but now you're playing up here and you're crushing it. So that's where we want you to be, is we want you to be in these strategic sessions to get you there. And we're going to talk a lot more about this quarter. I've still got 6 weeks left this quarter.
Yeah.
No, 8 weeks left of this quarter.
Well,
8 weeks, guys.
At the end of the year, things kind of fall off. So, if you're planning on
last, 1 week in November, that's right, 6 weeks, because 1 week in November is a bye week because it's Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to see you guys. I'm going to be eating turkey. Actually, I'm going to be cooking about 30 pounds of turkey. So anybody needs somewhere to go for Thanksgiving? I got plenty of food. And then Christmas, I take 2 weeks off because see you guys.
There you go.
We got family.
And your clients are doing the same things. So
clients are doing the same things. It's beautiful.
Yep.
I use that. That's my strategy, guys. I've been planning to have my vacations in November and December since October of 2019. That's where my mind is. And you guys need to be doing the same thing. Think about that. I just told you, I'm planning out 2022 right now in October of 2021. So that means in 2022, when it comes to December of 2022, because of my planning today, because of my strategic design for next year, my November, December are going to be open. That's how far ahead you need to think. So because of these things, you can benefit years later. That's strategy. And when your clients see that, they're going to want to be in that meeting. The CEO is going to want to be in that meeting because you're making business decisions in that meeting. Maybe you're not making the business decision, but the people in there are. That's Sally, who is your point of contact, Gerald, who is the accountant that happens to be stuck in the room for buying decisions. You're making decisions on how to bring in webcams so that you can increase this line of business. You're talking to them about how to do better timesheets or automatic mileage tracking so that they can save time and make it a workplace of choice. These are things you're deciding in the meeting, and now the CEO wants to be in there. All the decision makers at your client want to be there, and now you're making decisions really fast, and they're all saying, okay, yeah, I'm good with that project.
Yes.
That's a strategic session.
Yes. Changes the process that you go through to get things approved. Drastically shortens that. But I will say something else about the remaining time. We do have just enough time to squeeze a few more of those strategic meetings in. So if you're looking at your calendar now and you're thinking, I don't really have some, I was going to do that or whatever, just carve out some time today and start setting some of those appointments. You do have just a little bit of time left in this year to get those things on the calendar and really start strong in 2022.
Yep. So my number one thing is, one, to get them scheduled, but number one thing in the meeting is change the context to about the business. On these sessions, even if you didn't do it the rest of the year in your QBRs, on these sessions, this next couple months, ask your business, open up with a segue of, hey, how can we help your business be better? What kind of goals do you have? Start the context there and let them tell you the story. And then you will have fodder for, oh, we can solve that problem. You want me to go back and look at that? I'll put together a project proposal for you and we'll get it in front of you by next week. Now you have client-led sales. I hear that's a thing. I don't know. I'm an engineer. What do I know? I hear it's a phrase out there. So it's not because we're doing something because of a book told us. We're just changing the conversation to care about the client. Let them tell you about their problems so that you can solve the problems going forward. Your clients will want to be in these meetings because there will be decisions being made. Your sales will increase because you're aligning solutions with problems, business problems, not technical problems. And then your perceived value will skyrocket, because when you actually implement a project, when you work your ass off to get a project in place and it improves the business or improves Sally's daily life, they're going to sing your praises. You can work your butt off on that Active Directory where your org, or that cloud migration that does not change anybody's day, and you'll never get a thank you for it. But if you make it so that Sally's job is easier, or those truckers don't have to fill out their timesheets as often, or makes it easier for them, they're going to say, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. Their company really saved us. And they'll talk about that all the time. That's how your perceived value will skyrocket. That's how your sales are going to increase. And that's how your clients will want to be in these sessions, because you're solving problems for them.
Yep.
And that's all I have to say about that. Everybody needs to start listening to the Humanize IT podcast. We've got some great things coming out. We have the last 2 sessions are on selling in an MSP. So I'd highly recommend checking out part 1 and part 2 of the let's see, what episodes were those? I had them pulled up here. I must have closed them out. Like 173 and 174, I think, or so episodes 73 and 74 are all on how to sell in an MSP. We have an industry expert who came in and talked about how to change the conversations and increase your sales over the next year. So check out Humanize IT's podcast, and we'll see everyone next week.
See ya.